Running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans. Welcome to Talking in Ovals. How is everybody doing out there in this new year? January 5th, 2026. Hey, Dave, how was your new year?
It's good. I mean, it was not fun going back to work today after 13 days off, but we all have to work hard,
You know, the life of a teacher, man.
Oh yeah.
I wish I had all those nice mini breaks in between. And
Hey, I mean, listen, I was at practice or at a meet almost every single day. So,
no,
it is what it
absolutely.
is.
You're working hard. You're
You
dedicating
have to.
yourself, as always, kicking some ass. But hello to everybody. I hope everyone out there had a happy and safe new year, made it into 2026 okay. And I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah.
Wherever you are watching from, whether it is YouTube X, Kick, Twitch, Facebook, hello and thank you. Make sure, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff, wherever you are watching from. And if you want to follow us on the socials, go just search Talking in Ovals. We are
Yep.
everywhere under that name.
I don't usually do this, but I want to give a shout out to the Masquan girls team for finishing third at the Monmouth County Relays.
That's awesome.
We didn't we only did about 4 or 5 of the events, but the girls came out and it was a great day. So congrats to all those girls. I know how hard that they work every day at a practice, and it was just it was fun to just be a part of it.
Absolutely. And just that's when you get those moments with the team, especially when it's like almost unexpected, right? Like you went there, you were going to run a few events, you knew you were putting your best defense forward, but then you went and you just tore it up. And that's what it's all about, right?
It was good.
So that's always good stuff. Shout out to Manasquan. You guys are kicking some ass. But last week, Dave, we were going to take a week off.
We were.
Because we were like, doing Christmas, bringing in the new year. And then all of a sudden, Jim Lambert just said, you can contact Paige. She wants to come on. So we had the great Paige Shepard on the show.
We did.
And that was so much fun. She is an awesome young lady, just like all of our high school guests.
Amazing.
They are so friggin' well put together. Paige is no exception. She handles all the pressure and everything with so much grace for a young girl. Great episode.
Impressive.
Super impressive. Great episode. I highly recommend if you're a fan of New Jersey track and field, cross country, and the future of track and field, one of the futures of track and field, absolutely go listen to last week's episode. But this week, we're going to talk to someone who I'd still say is the future because he's still friggin' doing it. High level runner, awesome person. And you might recognize the last name because we had his daughter on a few months ago. So let's bring him in. He is Dave Slavinski. He is a world champion, masters, triathlete, duathlete. Dave, what's going on?
How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Doing well. We appreciate you jumping on. We're excited to have you on. And like I told you in the beginning, we always bring our guests in, and then we like to go and take a little trip over to our PRs. Because, like I told you, I don't want you hanging around in the background for that long. It'll be like 10 minutes. That'll be really mean, just having you stare at our ugly mugs. So I want to bring you in for the PRs. So let's jump right over to that share screen over here. And as always, our good man, Tom Figueroa, coming through. And he writes, good afternoon. Hope Alex is feeling better. I am, but I still have a cough. You'll see me throwing cough drops in all the time. We had a couple meets the past 2 weeks, both at the lab, Lincoln Athletic Building. That's awesome, calling it the lab. Let's go to the lab. Damn it, what are these names? Ypsilanti?
Ypsilanti.
Ypsilanti, that's a hell of a name. Michigan, near the U of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Both meets, we had a small group from the team compete with some PRs on the December 27th holiday invite. This weekend, we'll be back in Grand Valley State with the full team competing their first race of the new year. Tom, we're coming for you, man. You're coming on the show soon. So let's get into these. So for a freshman male, Caleb, I can never say this name, Dave. Shigoda? Did I say it right? Yeah. Caleb Shigoda, 400, ran a 102.74.62. Nice job. Middle schooler, Lily Schiffenender. Schiffenend, I don't know. Schiffender. I'm saying your name wrong. Schiffender. I'm butchering it. 8th grader. 600. Ooh. Ran a 151.34. I just hate that number, 600. It's an ugly number, but good job.
I like the 6, man. 6 is great.
I hated the 6. Run a 400 and die for 200 more like that. That hurts so bad. So another freshman, Allie Luckman, 11th grader in the 800, 224.61. And then Mason Rogers, a 9th grade boy, for everyone in their PRs. Like I said, Coach Figueroa, we're going to be in touch too because enough of this. You are coming on the show. We're
Yep.
just going to force you on. You
Let's do it.
give us so many of these great PRs, and we always love reading them. I apologize to anyone's name that I butchered. I am great at butchering names. So, but that's the fun part of doing that side of the show, right? Is me screwing up everything. But let's get into the fun stuff. So, real quick, Dave, do you have anything on in the background, any TV? Because I'm getting a little bit of feedback.
I don't know.
Might. Yeah. I might have to look over to my assistant over here. And
We are.
I invaded her space so we'd have more light because
we're ruining her leisure time. Tell her we're sorry. We apologize.
She's a teacher. She's got to get to bed soon here.
Yep.
She got an early morning.
Telling an adult what to do, go to bed. No, listen, my wife was already in bed like an hour ago. Like the moment we start to put the kids down, my wife is already like groggily making her way to bed. So I'm the night owl out of the group. But all right,
we've moved beyond that whole thing. Now we have one out and one just about out. So
there you go.
She went for her long run today. Like that's the plan we've got going. So she ran the boardwalk and had the first day of school like the rest of us. And now, she was in the compression boots and Normatex on the couch. I gave her the stink eye.
Nice. So, all right. So I want to get into your journey as an athlete. And we're going to start with the same question that I asked your daughter. And I am going to ask you as well. What was the spark that made you want to become a runner? Not necessarily when you started running, but that moment where it was like the aha, okay, I want to do this. This is a thing that I'm locked into.
It was a long journey because I didn't get locked into anything. I was just competitive at everything that I did. I was a baseball player. That was my first love, still is. Love baseball. I played Pee Wee football, and 8th grade year of school, my buddy John Wolf, who is another teacher who lives up in where is he? He's like Aberdeen, Matawan area now. Okay. He challenged me to run track, and I didn't want to do it. I was like, I want to play baseball, but I'll go out and just beat him. And
it's always the competitive.
I did, and it was okay. I didn't love it, right? Who drops a baseball bat and glove, to just run around? Yeah, like this is silly, and especially back in those days, like you jump on a cinder track. This was not exactly the lap of luxury, when you're talking about running.
It's not that Mondo that feels amazing on your feet, as well as all like the advanced technology with shoes and everything.
And there weren't any Hokas either.
No,
there were Adidas and Nike. Those are your options, and you enjoyed it.
Brooks.
Yeah. And Nike was kind of the fledgling company back then.
Yes, they were.
Right? Like back in the 80s, and this is like early to mid 80s. So I grew up in Livingston. So Livingston High School now has an unbelievable turf field and wonderful track facility. Back then, it was a cinder track with brick lining, lane 1 and a fence, a chain link fence. So you could fall and pretty much kill yourself if you weren't careful. So it wasn't exactly the thing that I really wanted. It took until, probably late in high school when I decided that's what I wanted to do in college, to really get the buy-in. And then, once you get around your people in college, then the world changes, then you're all together.
So track and baseball are the same season. So did you end up just not playing baseball and running track in high school? Or
I ended up playing the town league,
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, instead, just because I played up until my junior year, which was the last year that we could play.
Mm-hmm.
Pitched in the championship game against a kid who went to AAA. I went 2 for 4 off of him. He went 2 for 4 off of me. He was throwing at like 88. I was throwing probably 68, but throwing junk. I was throwing curveballs at his head and everything else.
There you go.
And he was the one that was always ragging on me for not playing baseball, not playing football. And the irony is, after college and after he was done with baseball, I saw him at the Spring Lake 5. What are you doing running, Frank? And he's like, it's the only thing you can do when you get older.
So true.
Hey, listen, there is a real place for junk ball throwers. You see so many MLB pitchers right now there is a lot of junk ball throwers, and they make rotations. And what was it? R.A. Dickey. R.A. Dickey's one of the best junk ball throwers of all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like you have guys that their arms stay good, and they could pitch until they're like 37 because they don't throw a fastball faster than like 89. So it's there's an art to it.
But it's not valued as much anymore.
Now everyone's throwing 99 miles an hour.
It's wild.
And I saw a doctor, on one of, I don't know, Instagram or something, talking about once you start throwing over 93, 94, you're putting your elbow in serious jeopardy. And how many guys in a rotation these days go down with Tommy John surgery?
It's just a rite of passage at this point.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's a parallel to track, bringing it back to that, because in the same way pitchers are all trying to get to that 95, 100, all of them, everything's a time trial in our sport right now, right? I think you're seeing a very similar transition into, especially our milers, our 800-meter runners and stuff. It's all time trials. You don't go to BU to win that meet. You go to BU to try and break 4. So it's like with a rabbit somewhere. And so I think there's that similarity in sport where everyone's just chasing that threshold completely. And it's a wild thing. So you get that spark your junior year, and then you want to go to college. So now we're going to bring you back in time a little bit. What are some of your favorite memories from being a runner, and then even go into your master's time and even post college when you were vying like triathlete to duathlete? Because we've had a good amount of, really good triathletes and stuff like that here on the show as well. So we cover all of athletics. We don't just stick to the track and cross country.
Yeah,
so get into memory lane and give us some of your favorite memories.
I think the best part about all of this, just tying it all together into one little umbrella here, under one umbrella, was, the people that you meet, going on recruiting trips or going to, I was in Essex County. So I got to meet all these guys, you're running for North East Side, the whole Portuguese community. And, I'd go down and run races with them, against them, because it was a community. And I was kind of probably like my daughter, where you just become friends with everybody. You're competing with them on the track, but the second you're off the track, you're bro hugging and, you're friends. And
Dave wouldn't know that. Dave wasn't allowed to do that.
Not in high school. No, my coach is like, you don't talk to anybody. I was like, all right. But like now it's different, and I love it because as an active coach, in the area, you see kids from Ocean County, Monmouth County, all warming up together, all cool. But when they can still separate it and say, all right, it was great, but now let's get on that actual track and compete. That's the part that I like, is that how these kids now, they're just able to kind of separate all of it and just kind of still be able to get themselves ready to compete when it's time.
Yeah, I think it's more fun that way for everybody.
Agreed.
Yeah. Like at college, you get around your people. And I was trying to explain it today to someone that I work with. I'm like, looking back, my freshman year of college was, transition time. As a guy, you don't go into college and just start killing it. My sophomore year was disappointment. I ended up with a stress fracture. I picked up the steeplechase, trying that. It didn't go great. We qualified for NCAAs as a team in cross country for the first time in program history. So we had that, and then we pretty much all ran terribly.
Which is kind of crazy to think of, because you think of Slippery Rock now, and that's a really good school, right? People want to go there. They're a competitor. They're very good. And to hear that was the first time qualifying, to me, as someone who, even when I was looking in college and recruiting and stuff, there was that group of schools, the Slippery Rocks, and that whole entire conference, to be quite honest, that was right. They're all in consideration. Those are all fantastic schools that have great traditions.
Yeah, and it was interesting because Edinburgh was the perennial champs under Doug Watts. He was a tough guy to run for.
Shippensburg too.
Yeah, Ship. Because I was there. I got to Slippery Rock right after Steve Spence had graduated, and he was still an assistant coach, and placing at the World Championships in the marathon. We've talked about this. To anybody who will listen to me, you don't need to be big time D1 run against big time D1.
Thank you.
Slippery Rock, we would go to Tennessee. We would go to Ypsilanti, Michigan, where we were talking before. We would go to Penn relays. If you were fast enough, you ran against the fast guys.
That's the beauty of our sport, is that like you can go to any college and you'll see great athletes at every meet. Like the meets don't specify, well, this is for D1. Like everybody just runs together based on time.
And there's some of these invites that are regional, so you'll see some of these big schools there. Like if you're in the Pennsylvania area and you're in the vicinity of Penn State, there's some regional races where you're going to run against Penn State. And Paul Short's the perfect example, because Paul Short is a smorgasbord that if you are in the Northeast to the like upper South area, like if you're Delaware, Maryland, all the way up to Maine and parts of Ohio, you all go to Paul Short. And there's just the two divisions. There's the schools that qualify for the faster division, and then there's the slower. And that slower division, they're all still cooking. They're all still really good 8K men, but it really fast 6K women. So there's a bunch of, it's a hard course, so nobody really sets a PR, but it's like a little, it's a blip into whatever your region is going to be competitive. Paul Short, I think, is a prime example of that.
And those divisions, they're not based upon teams, school size or
no
division. They're based upon how fast that you are, which is great.
Yeah. Like my senior year of college, after, I ended up having a breakout year, junior year, and tying everything back to the local area. My junior year, we weren't even written up as being a top 5 team at the Pennsylvania State Athletic, Conference cross country championships. At the PSAC meet, and I think we took 5 of the top 10 spots and just annihilated everybody. So I was a little, probably a little overzealous when we came to the regional meetup at Springfield College, and I underperformed, but my team picked us up because I was our number 2 guy. And we were able to qualify for NCAAs for a second year in a row. And it was only the second time in team history. And we got out there to Southern Illinois. It was, we're running the course. It was a 55-degree day. Nobody had weather apps on their phones, so we weren't really paying attention. We woke up the next morning, it's 36 and snowing. Like, what just happened? This place changed. But
that's Illinois, right? That is Southern Illinois by the Great Lakes. Like, that's exactly how it goes.
Yeah. So now my coach, John Papa, who's retired now, he was a multi guy. So he's a decathlete, held the school record. So he wasn't exactly us, who's distance runner guy. But the coach at California University of Pennsylvania was
shout out to my buddy Chris Pass. Pass ran there and was a very good runner over at Cal U in Pennsylvania.
Well, so I'll tell you who the coach ends up being, because he's a friend to this day, because he was all around the course yelling at me, and my nickname was Paco out at Slippery Rock, because there was another Dave. So I was the Hispanic guy with the last name of Slavinski, right? It's a pretty white bread, Western Pennsylvania area. So this guy's running around. He's like, you get 2 more spots, you're going to be an All-American. You get, you're in it. You're going to hang on for the last mile. And he introduces himself basically afterwards, and it was Coach Joe Compagni.
Ah,
Joe is just the nicest guy on the planet, man. He really is.
That was the start of our friendship. And here, like I've got hit my cell phone on speed dial if I need him. Right? Like,
Joe was
he was on our show. He's great.
He was on our show, but he came up here because Maris just got a track. We just finally, for the first time in our history, and I went there. Obviously, I'm a Maris alum, and I went there, and who's there just rocking a Maris thing? Joe Compagni's there, just hanging out, and it's like, you kicked our ass for 6 years in the MAC when Monmouth came in. You guys just kicked our doors in and destroyed the MAC and then left. But Joe, he's just such a good guy. I remember, and he does
so much,
loves
the sport
so
locally.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and what he did, because I remember when that Monmouth job opened, before he took it, because I actually applied, and they're like, well, it's a part-time gig, a couple days a week, a couple hours a day. I'm like, how do you have a D1 program that's part-time for the head coach? And, I was so happy that, what they did was, made it a full-time job and brought Joe in, because nobody could have done, the great things that he did with that program.
I mean, just the way, like, once Joe got in there, I knew his whole goal was, I have the short conference and I have the GMAC. I'm going to those 2, and I am just going to go and get the best talent from both of those. And if I can keep those 2 places home, that will our best talent here. We're going to become a regional power, and then other kids will come. And it's exactly what it did. It worked to perfection, because I remember he was over at a bunch of my meets, and I didn't want to go to Monmouth. I went to Manchester It was right in our backyard. And
Right.
I told him flat out, he was like, we could talk. I'm like, Coach Compagni, you're great, but I just don't want to go to Monmouth. And he was awesome about it. He was like, that's fine. Every meet he saw me at, it was always very friendly. And how are you doing? How's the year? But he really worked hard for anyone that was a county or conference competitor. He's like, you want to come to Monmouth? And he grinded that way for years to get that program where it is.
Yeah. And if anybody who knows him, even like us not running for him, you just have nothing but great things to say about him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just a great ambassador for the sport. And in a way, like how I think if you're asking a young kid, like if you're saying, hey, how should I be as a coach? Not only X's and O's, but how do I treat my athletes? You're going to sit them in front of Joe and just be like, just talk to this man for 3 days and you'll be fine. Like you'll know everything what to do in every which way, because he just kind of exemplifies that. So let's get back to you though. So you're doing your thing, your breakout year. What happens over at the rest of your time over in Southern Illinois for Nats?
So, I ended up, back in those days, you actually had to be a U.S. citizen to be an All-American. So I think I finished 27th and they took 25 Americans were All-American. So I knew the guy who won the race from Edinburgh University was an Australian, and he was like 30 because D2 and D3 don't have those rules that Division I does. And so we're in funny story, we're in a hot tub at the hotel, and another team jumps in and we're talking to them, and one guy has an accent. I'm like, are you a U.S. citizen? He's like, no. How'd you finish? He was like, I was 14th. So I start jumping up and down.
Yeah, I got it.
I got it, because they don't tell you at the end of the race, like, oh yes, you're
especially
you're
then.
an American. Yeah, no, especially back then.
They didn't know then for like 3 hours until after everyone finished.
No,
back when I was
like hours. Yeah,
had a hand of popsicle sticks.
And now your coaches are doing the math ahead of the time too. If it's not the head coach, it's someone or someone.
You don't have to do any math now. You don't.
The thing is, someone that's hurt that's there still, but they know before, because someone like if you have a walking wounded there that's just kind of cheering on, they're counting too, right? Like everyone has that idea.
Yeah. So that was really cool. But then, when things changed my senior year, I ran faster, but didn't have luck. There's in the region close to 300 guys. I finished 7th in the region.
Ooh.
And don't make NCAAs because our team finishes 6th and they took 4. And they would have taken us as a 5th if we finished 5th, because we were hosting NCAAs. But it was also the year that Adams State and Western State Colorado moved from NAIA. So Adams State came into NCAA Division II finals and scored 15 points.
Right, just crush everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's Adams, and to this day, it's Adams State. Like, just who they are.
But they moved essentially the goalpost. Like now, the PSAC and these other schools, we don't touch what Adams State, Western State, Colorado College of Mines, like those are the most dominant cross country teams in Division II out there now.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's silly what they can do.
Yeah,
it's really impressive.
But it also goes to show, just like we said at the top, you don't have to go to these D1, unless, you don't have to go to these schools. Like there are, if you just do a little homework, you could see that there are incredible schools up and down. Even in the NAIA, there are some really good schools in the NAIA that are putting out kids. Like
JUCO has some great programs.
So for fun, I never showed it on the program, which maybe I will, but for fun, I went. And because sometimes I just get focused on something and I do it, I took the top 10 competitors for NCAA's last year outdoor. And I just kind of took the top 10 from D1, D2, D3, JUCO, NAIA, and I just crossed them. And I could put them in there. And if the top 10 for each were competing, how would they do? And predictably, D1 generally had that because it's your top D1s. But there were a few races, I think in like the 3K, D2 and NAIA just like kicked the doors in and everyone. There was like maybe 4 D1 people within that top 10. Like you get those times. And some JUCO people who are the ones that are going to go to these major schools next year, some of them are, right up there. So there's so much possibility out there. And I think that's just a big thing to get through to kids.
And that was the one thing that, I still think about to this day at my ripe old age. Like senior year, we went out to Indiana University. IU was hosting NCAAs. So they have they had a really nice facility, to run back then, wide open. They had 72 teams on the starting line, which is crazy, right? So it was one race. It wasn't not like Paul Short. Like, it made Paul Short look like you're running somebody's backyard, right?
72 cross-country teams.
72 teams. And, the race starts and I look over and there goes Bob Kennedy, right? So, he won NCAA's his freshman year, and then that year, which was our senior year. But like, when you say, like, you can go anywhere, back then you printed out the results. I went through the results. I was on everybody's top 7, every one of those 72 teams, because that's where NCAAs were going to be held. The best teams, like NAU were there. Like, any team that thought they had a shot,
like a pre-nat meet, right?
Yeah, it was 100% a pre-national meet. And I'm like, I'm running for a little Slippery Rock. Nobody expects me to do much, but I would have been in everybody's top 7.
Yeah,
and I would have been the number 2 guy behind Bob Kennedy on Indiana's team.
Which is crazy because Indiana, they were a good team even with Bob Kennedy. They had some deep teams there too. So let's go. You have success in college, but you've also become quite the triathlete, quite the duathlete, quite the masters runner. So did you always plan to continue to train and work out? Because I know for me personally, I had a rough college go. And once college was done, I needed to decompress. I didn't want to grind and do it. And I didn't have the success in college. Even though I worked hard, I sucked. Okay. It was just, it is what it is. There was a lot that went into it. And then after that, it was like, I'm done doing this job for a little bit and I needed to decompress. What about you? Was that something that you took advantage of your fitness and kept going and are still going? What was your journey like post-college?
Yeah, my next breakthrough actually was my year after college, because my senior year didn't go the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
I finished 7th in the region, and I didn't make it. It was like I did all the math, and I was the only 7 person to finish 7th that either the team didn't go or individually didn't go. So I felt like I had some unfinished business. So I ended up going to grad school at Springfield College, and there was a cross country coach. I took a grad assistant job, and he was kind of a younger professor, Britt Brewer. And I've Googled him, and he's still around up there, but he was like a Oregon, I want to say Portland maybe was where he had grown up. And he was ahead of his time. Like, he was getting kids to visualize. And this is, like, mind you, like 93, the fall of 93.
Yep.
So I'm running with these guys, and like, oh, this kid's got, a lab. I'll run with him too afterwards. So I jumped my first road race and run 5 miles. They actually had 5 milers back then, right? Like, it's not all 5Ks like today. I run like 24 something. I'm like, it must have been short, because I've never, I'm running by myself. Like, So a couple of weeks later, I do it again, run 24 or something. So I end up being running my first like indoor track meet on a banked track, essentially at Harvard that winter. And Harvard's banked about 2.5 feet of bank.
But it's better than flat, okay?
Yeah, it was cutting edge back in the day.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like I had a really good year with that, and then I came home and kind of got in and out of it. Racing in the summer, trying to run some of those races is just kind of silly. You can't run fast times if you get a hot day at Spring Lake, or you go to back in the day when Belmar still had like the 5 mile or the Sheehan. Actually, it was like the Sheehan was before they moved it to Red Bank, and it was like it was hotter than blazes. So I kind of got down and out a little bit, and then when I swung back into it, I found Tom Fleming, who was anybody, I guess you got to be of a certain age to remember Tom, but he was another guy he was a D3 guy, right? He went to William Patterson, qualified for the Olympic team in 1980. And what happens in 1980? We boycott the Olympics.
Yep.
So I start working for Tom in his shop up in Bloomfield, and what an opportunity to just pick his brain. We'd show up, and it would be guys like Andy Ball, Joe LeMay. Like, we would go out on a 10-mile run on a Saturday, and 4 of the miles was a pickup. And, Joe LeMay would drop like an 18 and change, and the rest of us are running like 19 and change. And then we'd go and, have breakfast before Tom opened the shop, and we're looking in the paper, like, oh, these guys we're winning 5Ks in 19 and 18 minutes, and we're running 4 milers, and getting your butt kicked into practice with those guys. So that was a lot of fun, and that's when I really kind of took my shot. And I ran like 8:57 in the steeple, which
pretty good. Pretty good. 8:57 is pretty good.
I preface it by saying, like, those shoes used to get wet. Like, I had the Adidas equipment steeple shoes, and the only thing that made them steeple shoes was they drilled holes,
little hole,
water to draw it.
They are so light now too. The shoes, it's like they're like air. They're just mesh, like nothing. Like they just
nothing
dry.
gets wet.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking possibly next year of trying to jump back into the steeple, because
hell yeah,
I'll be 55 and they drop it to a 2K at 55.
There you go.
I still want to know how drunk the person was that invented the steeple. Like, what? Like, who sat there? And I know the whole thing is like, we want to bring cross country to the track. I've never jumped over a friggin' log in the middle of a course. Like, I'm sorry, or like had to go into a lake. It's like, did that make that transition over to duathletes and triathlons easier because you're already used to going into water? Like, what are they thinking with the steeple? Like, it is such a bizarre race.
It was funny because like all the guys, who were the distance runners were like clean cut guys like Dave over there. And then it was all the rest of us, the steeple chasers. We all had like long hair and earrings. Right?
Yeah, there we go. No earrings, but they got the hair.
Yeah. So like, they were all the freaks. Like,
but was that myself. Like is
Evan Jager? Look at him. He had always
Evan Jager when he was on the top. Was he kind of a throwback in the way, like giving that steepler? Because I mean, Kenneth Rooks, and we got to get Kenneth Rooks on. What are we doing? We got to get him with the hair. What's he's not keeping the legacy.
No, and I don't know. Like the Kenyans, I think the Kenyans were just fast in it. Yes, It took athletes, American athletes, right? Like, because a lot of being a distance runner, I can kind of rag on distance runners.
We say it all the time.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, like my son, like throw something to him and it'll hit him right in the face, right? Like he can't catch, he can't throw.
But he can run a 147.
Right. So I'm coming from the background of being a baseball player, so I'm like, I need something that's more athletic than just running around in circles here. Like, if we have to jump stuff and in water and push each other a little bit, this is cool.
It is fun.
And that's kind of like
some too. It's fun.
And that's kind of like, okay, I can't sprint, so I can't really be with the athletes. So I'm going to go and do something else like that. Like you said, that's athletic. And I sure as hell don't want to do a 400-meter hurdle because that's really painful. So let's go do the steeple and at least have fun with water.
Yeah, like, and I think as a distance runner, we could probably run the 400 hurdle in about the same time we can run an open 400. Like, there's no difference. There's no speed.
We'll go out at one pace. We'll finish at that pace, and that's it. Like, that's how it goes.
We just got to jump a little higher in our stride.
Yeah, my coach punished. I don't know who he punished. Like at Penn Relays, my senior year, my buddy ran the 5K on Thursday night. I ran the steeple Thursday night. It was 38 degrees and, like,
sounds about
terrible.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't feel your legs after the first time it hits the water, but he was angry with two of the 400-meter runners. So he made Eric, who ran the 5K, and me run the 4x4 the next day for the PSAC championship. And that was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life, because these guys can actually run, right? They're fast. So everything's just bouncing. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. With 150 to go, all of a sudden those guys start coming back to you. You're like, holy cow, I might actually catch somebody. I ran my fastest, 400 ever just out of fear after the night before running a steeplechase, right? You didn't want to embarrass yourself.
Well, I mean, it's like, it's funny too, definitely watching those distance runners run the open fours, like the ones that have some wheels, because you're going to do it. But like you said, like, your sprinters will go out and they'll go out in like 23 low, 23 mid, and your distance guy will go out in like 24 high,
25,
and then 25, but then they'll drop back in a
26 point me for me.
But then they'll 26 mid for the second 200.
It stays the same, right? So they're going to run near a 50.52, and the same thing. The guys are going to come back and they're going to run a 50.52. It's just two ways of getting there, definitely.
Yeah. The first way, our way, is like, it's scary, it's intimidating. Their way is probably more painful. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so.
Rig like a champ.
Well, for us, it's like, for us to do it though, it's like Coach gave us some candy, right? You can go run a 400. Like, yes, that's awesome. I can go run a 4. Like, I haven't moved my legs this fast since like ever.
Well, no,
let's go.
The 400 is different because then you are seated like a like accordingly. But when it's a 4x4 and you're in there with something, you're like, whoa.
They're fun. 4x4s are fun. You get
4x4
that
is one of my
baton.
favorite events to actually watch. Like when it's close and it's competitive, there's nothing better than a great 4x4.
It was so good getting the baton and just having someone like that, like they got it and they were 5 steps ahead of you. Because then you would get it and you'd be like, haha, lunch. And then they ended up being faster than you, and that sucked. But you would think you were going to get them. It gave good motivation.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so that was like the end of my 400 career. Yeah. But yeah, like I had the chance to train with Tom, and be around people like Joe LeMay, who when he qualified that year, he never ended up hitting the Olympic A standard. So Ed Eyestone got to go, and just terrible things happened. Like I had run the 5K at Penn that year, the Olympic developmental, and Joe had a pacer for the 10K, and the race goes off typically late. So, it's 10:45 when the race starts. Like, who's ready to run a 10K at 10:45 at night? The wind is howling. His pacer takes him out. It's supposed to take him out in 14 flat. He takes him out in like 14:08. So Joe cranks a 14 flat by himself the next 5K, and 28 flat was the standard. So he runs 28:08, and then he goes up to Canada and hits like a torrential rainstorm in the middle of the race. So runs like 28:10, like just could never get any
frustrating.
Any luck.
Just incredibly frustrating. That's
especially when you know that you're in shape to do it, but there's other outside things that are
that's the pain of outdoor, right? Like the pain of outdoor is
weather.
Sometimes your fitness doesn't matter. If Mother Nature doesn't participate, you can only do so much, right? That's why a lot of people like running in the South. They like running in California because you're going to get better weather more often than you're going to get crap weather, right? Where if you're running more north, if you're going into Canada, if you're in Pennsylvania, there's a good chance that when it's hot, the rain's going to come down afterwards, or, that's just the life of these areas. So it is tough. And I think that's definitely a perk now that a lot of these athletes have, because there are so many meets that they can pick and choose their spots. And we get to see these entries so freaking early now. So athletes will know, okay, these people are going to be here. That I have a goal time. They're going to pull me through. I can get into their heat. Let's jump there. So it's changed so much, where before, back in the early 90s and stuff, you were going to a meet that you thought was going to be competitive. You knew that there was a chance these guys would go there. You didn't know until maybe a few days before when they put out the sheets of who's actually going to be there, what are the entries, and it's a different time, 100%.
Yeah, you had to know people in the sense of like, I was with Fleming, and he'd be like, go up to Dedham, run the Twilight meets, and you'd get up to Dedham, Massachusetts, and it would just be 3 events, right? You got like an 800, a steeple, and the 5K, and it was just absolutely stacked, and 3 events, in May and June, but everybody's there to hit a qualifying time, so like you said, like I'm running 8:57, and the standard back then was like 52 was the B standard.
Yeah.
And I'm finishing like 6th or 7th in my heat, and they didn't break it down like fast heat, slow heat. They were like, okay, we have a group of guys in this heat, a group of guys in this heat, because they know if you're winning, you're running faster.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So it was a good way of doing things. But after I took my shot there, I kind of backed down and kind of started living the real life, and then started coaching, and was lucky enough to coach Ian Hahn.
Yep.
And
that's my boy.
Yeah. And so I trained with him, to get him to where I thought he could be. And then once he got out of college, I was running with both him and Eric Motzenbecker from Wall. Who went because he didn't want to go into the Army. Like he wanted to go into the Army training, like Olympic developmental program.
Yep.
So, I tried to help those guys out, and I guess that was 2000. And then
Ian's mile record is probably, his indoor mile record at Manchester is probably never going to get touched. I think it was like a 4:16. They're not touching that. Like I haven't seen anybody We've had some pretty good distance guys. Like we've had some very good distance guys at Manchester the past few years.
Nick Lafretta was a good
Nick
kid.
was so freaking good, but I mean,
Yeah.
it was either 416 or 419, and when Ian did it too, there were very few people indoor running.
He was still running at
God.
I mean, he didn't run that at Red Bank, but he was still running in the era where Red Bank was a thing.
Yeah.
I think Ian even ran like a 424 at Red Bank. Like Ian was just a tough,
Nobody ran a 424 at
he ran some ridiculous stuff. He was just a tough guy.
Yeah, he was
Ian was
great,
just
yeah.
tough as nails.
Super
That was
tough.
his
I know,
motto.
and I feel bad. I hope he's watching because, like, knowing Jay Griffith and everything, and Jay brings Ian in to give them the pep talks to try to win team titles, especially against Point Borough, where I'm from. And like Ian and I spent loads of time together years ago, and then I even went and hung out with him because I was still a young guy at that point. It stayed with him and ran the meets at Penn State. So Ian, this is a funny story. Ian hooks me up so big one time, like I'm in the fast heat and Brian Spoonire is in the slower heat.
Geez.
So I walked up to Spoon and I was like, "Look, you go in the fast heat here. You can run like I'll run 820 or 818."
That was a courtesy right there. Like, Brian,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Get up here.
Yeah,
like, come on now. What are we doing here?
Asbury Park
like,
legend right there, man.
Oh my God.
And another guy, right? So it's like when you're around the sport for so long, like, you start name dropping, but in some ways, but these are all the guys that you interact with, and it's a small family when you get right down to it. We all know each other, and that's why like Dave was saying, like not being allowed to talk to the competitors. It's like, well, then who else can you talk to? Because I got 4 guys I run with here. That's about it, and you got to talk to somebody else you can commiserate.
I agree.
Misery with.
And especially when you see the same guys all the time, like in the PSAC. The PSAC is a conference where you guys are going to the same meets. All those schools are going to basically the same meets. So it's like you're seeing the same people you're going to see in your final heat at conferences. So you eventually get to know each other. And
the short conference is the same way. Like I think we see the same teams like 5 straight weeks. Like once you get into like counties, shores, sectionals, groups, like it's the same, especially in the girls 8 and 16, it's the same kids who are there every single meet. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's literally the same 3 or 4. It's like, all right, who wants it today? Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Callie.
After that, it's your turn. Go ahead.
You look, it's like, how your legs feel? My legs are tired. Okay, I guess I'll lead this time. Let's see what we got at the end. Like it becomes like a training, like, all right, well, who's gonna, because you all know at the end, you're all running generally the same thing, and who's gonna outkick each other? Like that's what was it like?
Training race when all these girls are running sub 210.
Well, I mean, short conference meets at this point are training races for who are there, right? The conference like championship. It's like, all right,
no one really goes
conference champion here.
Short conference though anymore. That's kind of
it's like
it's a dying meet. I remember when I was young, that meet was prestigious.
I won it when it still mattered. That's all I care about. I was the 800 meter champion when people still cared. CBA still showed up with their A team, so that's all that mattered to me.
Yeah. When I was coaching Han and those guys, like it was
huge.
That was the biggest feather in their cap. Was like, okay, we're gonna win Ocean County and we'll go try to win short conference, and sure enough, doing it. Like, But now everybody's like kind of going, well,
like, can I skip this one because
that's a training run.
That's an extra meet we have that the rest of the state doesn't have. So let's not go there.
We had Ian on the show, and he talked about just that team that he had, that 98 team.
That was a great team.
My God, they're one of, you want to talk about one of the deepest and best teams in the state history. They're right up there. Like that is right. And it's weird, little Manchester town. Like no one knew it, but it's like what Coach Conover was able to do over there and things like that. Like, it was a pretty miraculous time, and obviously you helping Ian be who Ian Hunt is. And that team was just so deep. It wasn't just Ian. Ian took care of the distance side, but they had depth and distance,
hurdles,
jumps. The hurdles. My God, like they were just, that was a complete team.
It was.
They were monsters.
Yeah. It was funny because I got there and Conover was like, I was working at Ocean County Juvenile Detention Center, so guy I was working with was like, I coached there. I'm like, well, I run a little bit. And he's like, yeah, come over. I'll introduce you to the coach. So he introduced me
What was your first impression of Conover?
he was like, Ed Grimsley or whatever, and he's like, so what do you know? And I'm like, well, I did steeplechase. So
no, you have to do it right. Hold on. No, it's, so what do you know? Like, you got to give what do you know? What do you know?
What do you know? And he's got that mustache he had, right? And I'm like, well, and I'm a distance runner. He's like, you know anything about the pole vault? I'm like, no. He's like, coach the pole vault. Okay.
That sounds like Conover. Like,
Yeah.
but that's the thing.
Dude, him, and he had Moose off too.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, and Moose. My God, the Fu Manchu was rocking hard back then with Moose. But the thing is, with both of those guys, though, especially when they got a young guy like you, let's break his balls and see if he's gonna last. Let's see what he's made of. Because if he's not made of something, we want him out of here yesterday. Like, that was the old school thinking of those two guys. And
Yeah.
all right, if he can go learn the pole vault, okay, then he's a good coach. Then we're fine. Then we can have him around. Like, that was kind of the mindset back then.
Yeah, so I forget his name, but like I started pole vaulting just so I could get the feel of it, and I, he was like an 11-foot guy, and we got him to like 13.6 or something, 13.3, like, so,
Which that's winning counties and definitely competitive in conferences, winning conferences, going to states with 13.
Yeah, I think he finished 6th at Meet of Champs that year or something crazy, so yeah, when you are a track guy and you just like track, like you can, you find me a spot. I'll coach shot put. I don't care. Just get me around the track.
We fall in love with the technical side of it, right? Like when you're done, like truly like being ingrained in like, okay, what's my workout? Let me go compete. And you get into that coaching side. If you still love the sport, it's getting into that technical side, right? Of especially as a coach, even with distance runners, okay, why are they doing this workout today? Why are they doing this? Why are we setting up this week this way? All the little minor things. And pole vault is one of the most technical things you're going to do.
Yeah.
And teaching a pole vaulter to attack instead of being passive is, I don't know how freaking pole vaulters do it. That's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying.
Well, so what you do is you find a skateboarder walking down the hallway and you're like, hey, you want to do something that you're an adrenaline junkie? Let's go.
Extreme.
Yeah, it's totally extreme. Yeah. So, from there, life changed.
You're muted, Dave.
Oh.
Not you, Dave. Other Dave.
No.
Dave. Hi, Dave.
Life changed, and I kind of, I had picked up an injury surfing. I tore my meniscus, so I jumped on the bike, and doctor said, "Hey, come back, in a couple weeks, and we'll see how when we want to schedule the surgery." So, jumped on the bike, biked down the Beach State Park. I was living in Tom's River at the time. Feel pretty good. I'm like, can I try running? He's like, yeah, you can try running. When it hurts, call me, and we'll do the surgery. So I started running, and that was the genesis of like triathloning again, because both Carrie, my wife, and I, we did our first triathlon in 1993. I want to say it was, when the sprint distance was a mile ocean swim, 25-mile bike, and a 5-mile run. And it was a qualifier. The long distance one at Seaside Heights was a qualifier for Ironman. So it was like still the infancy of that. But being broke and out of college at that point, like I couldn't get into triathlon. So
you'll like this though. In another show that I had when I first did just like a sports show, I had Mark Allen on, and Mark Allen is like the god of triathlon.
Oh yeah,
the Ironman. Like Mark was the guy, the coolest dude. He just hangs out in Hawaii now, and if he sees any promise in a triathlete in Ironman, he just invites him out there and trains him. He just surfs all day and trains potential Ironman champion. Like, it's awesome.
It's a heck of a life, man.
I don't know how he made a living out of it.
I mean, listen, without him, and I forget the other guy that came right after him, the Ironman maybe doesn't exist without some of the things he was able to do, and the numbers he was able to put up is incredible.
Yeah, Scott,
yes, Scott. Yes.
They were like battling head to head and made it interesting. Yeah, so I ended up getting into that whole thing because of the injury. And there was a good training group down here in Point Pleasant, and it just kind of like took on a life of its own. And I kind of got burnt pretty quick on like doing Ironman all the time, and made a couple friends. And one was like, "Hey, why don't you do this Team USA stuff?" And that was the coolest thing. When you go to an Ironman event or an Ironman championship, it's like you've got your coach's sponsor, or whatever kit you're wearing. But when you go and put on Team USA gear, you're actually being sponsored by, the federation. That's awesome. That was, it made, standing on the podium, having the honor of winning a few, and having them, like, they play the national anthem, right? And you're in all your USA garb and you've got the US flag. Like, it's it's as close as an old guy like me would ever gotten to the Olympics, right?
Sure.
And
Do you still have that original kit just hanging out that
oh
you
yeah,
got?
I've got yeah, I've got like people walk through my house, in a couple
Have
of
you
rooms.
saved every single one that you've ever had, like all the different ones? Have you saved them all?
Yeah, because they
So
change
cool.
them all the time, and the truth be told, that's why I got my daughter into swimming. And my son went that direction because I still think her best event is going to be triathlon. I think when this is all said and done, she's got a real legit shot of making an Olympic team in the future in triathlon, not running. Like
Well, the
that's
crazy thing
me.
too is they also have, which I don't know if they took it away, but I think last Olympics they had that team sprint try, which
Right,
I
right.
thought was really freaking cool to watch. Where
Yeah,
it was fast, it was explosive. It was like a 400-meter swim, a 5K, and then like a 5-mile bike. Like it was boom,
yeah. It was
boom, boom,
short.
and
Yeah,
it was
I think it was
short.
like 1.5K or something. It was a
Yeah, it
really
was
short
something.
run.
It was explosive and it was fun. And I think it was like a team of like three, and they would just
Yeah,
go. And it was like they
Yeah.
had to cover a certain amount of laps. And I remember watching that. My wife's like, "Is this something?" I'm like, "This is new, and this should never leave." Like just watching that, like
yeah,
it gives us athletics people that again, and I think it really benefits runners and bikers. I don't know how many swimmers transition well to running
no,
as much,
No.
but runners we can kind of be taught how to swim competently, right? We're never going to be amazing, but we're competent.
right.
And then biking, I think biking, if you have the endurance and the core strength, right? It's a lot
Yeah,
of core as you're getting into that. Because we already have the leg strength and things. So it's like, I just thought it was so cool watching that sprint try, like that team sprint try. I really hope they bring that back. That was so much fun.
yeah. Because the big difference is like with Ironman or half Ironman distance, it's very light on the swim side, right?
Right.
So even for an Ironman, say you're in the water for an hour, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be on the bike for 5, and then you're going to run a marathon, right? So
Right.
like where are you going to make the most ground up? But when
Sure.
you get to an Olympic distance, it's 1500 in the water, right? So if you're fast, like you might be like an IV might be swimming it in 20 minutes, and it's
Yeah.
a 10K, so now you're running 30 something minutes, and it's a 25-mile bike, it's 40K, so you're off the bike in an hour, so you really don't gain or lose tons on the bike, especially with
Right.
draft legal. So my whole idea with her was you got to get out in the lead pack, right? You got to be a swimmer so you can hang on the bike, draft, and then outrun everybody. So
Yeah.
my evil plan, is, it still hasn't come into full fruition, but we did get a call from Tommy Zafaris, who is the Olympic developmental coordinator, and he's like, "Look, I got a spreadsheet with 6,000 girls with swim times and run times." He's like, "I got 3 that are green that I could recruit right now to try to train for the next Olympic cycle, and the girl at the top of the list is your daughter. And like, does she want to come and do that?" I'm like, let her go through this whole college thing first, and
Yeah.
and keep it
It
going.
probably helps that your last name is pretty well known in those circles with what you've been able to accomplish
Well, the
over
funny
the
part was
last
like
few years.
he spent the first 5 minutes explaining what triathlon was. I'm like, Tommy, a simple Google search would have told you that you could have saved that whole speech. Like,
Right.
we've been all around the world doing this,
Yeah, it's like, and it's crazy too because I knew you were a good athlete, and Coach Griff is the one that connected us, and we love Jay Griff here. He's just an amazing guy.
Awesome.
I couldn't have been happier for when I knew, because unfortunately I had gotten out of high school, and I think Jay took over like 2 years after I left, and I had known Griff because he was the coach over at Jackson, and Jackson were juggernauts.
And at Howell too.
Right.
And at Howell, like he was just a great coach everywhere. And
Yeah.
no, when he came over to Manchester, number one, I was like, what the hell? What do we do to get such a guy like that? Like Manchester, like we have great coaches, but usually it's because they're young and naive and then they come. Like he was established. Like, yeah, and listen, we all know the Manchester culture, right? Usually you're already in the building, you're young, naive, and they like con you, and then all of a sudden you become great. Like we don't get usually those established great coaches to come. And Coach Griff has been a godsend, but he's the one that connected us. And like obviously we had Ivy on the show, and then I knew you were good, and then like you send me your resume, and it's like I'm gonna brag for you, okay? Because
I told
you're
you. I told you
incredibly
he was
humble,
good.
incredibly humble. 18-time national champ in the tri and duathlon, and obviously different levels, right? 6-time world champion. Like, that's just incredible to even say that, you've been competed in a world championship, but to be a champion, the USATF age group 3K national champ. And we got to talk about this right now. You're going for the record in 2027 for the 55-59 group mile for the national record, which it currently sits at 4:46.4. What is in the thought process of that? Or do you look at that time and go, as long as I'm healthy, it's mine, no problem? Like, what is that thought process right now?
Well, everything changes as you get older. It's not like you can just jump out of bed and do it anymore. So, I've been a very, like, it was Blake seeing what worked and what really didn't work in his training program at Clemson, talking to the coaches who have been so gracious, in recruiting Ivy. I was able to sit down for like 2 hours with Coach Gina at Villanova because we had already checked in, and she sent everybody off to go do something. I'm like, I want to pick your brain because I got to be honest, I'm not sold that many kids should go D1 at this point. So she told me the whole training regimen. So I developed a program, and it wasn't for me particularly. It was to try to get Blake back to wanting to compete again. So I shared a Google sheet with him, and then he's like, "Hey, Dad, would you write me that plan too?" And that's where the kind of the genesis was. It's not for me really. Like, I accomplished enough? Yeah, I was an All-American. I've done my bidding, but it was to try to get him back to it because I have such fond memories. And my wife running at Mount St. Mary's, like, she ran at Mount St. Mary's, and a kid
Mount's
came
right
in
by
as
me.
a freshman. Yeah,
I'm over here in Poughkeepsie, New York. The Mount's right up here by me.
Yeah, exactly.
The Mount is 30 minutes away from where I am.
Oh no, actually, like the one in Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Oh, okay, because there's a Mount up here over by us, over across the bridge from me.
Right. So they used to be in the MAC.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So she had some little guy who came in as a freshman named Peter Rono.
Jeez.
Who came in after after he won the Olympic gold medal. And so we go to college in the fall of '89, and here he comes off of an Olympic gold medal to run at Mount St. Mary's College, right? So the things that we've seen by being part of college athletics, and seeing his disappointment after having such a great start, and setting that 1K record and running 2:20. I had to develop a different training plan that would kind of fit. I'm seeing if it fits me. I'm pretty happy with where it's going, but something that he could use. So I started, training him to try to get him back to, loving running again. And, as of today, we talked a little bit before we went on, like, he's going to be starting, his career again at Rowan now as a D3 athlete,
awesome.
Which
awesome.
It's
love it for Rowan. I love it for him if he's happy there. Like, and that's a great get for Rowan.
Yeah, and and that's the only thing that you want for your kids is like to be happy, right? Just go and then get the experience, the enjoyment. I don't care if you're like an All-American. I don't care if you're a national champion. I don't care. Just get out of school with a degree and say, I loved being around those guys, right? And in a program where he was at, it's like you got international kids coming in, going out, you got the American kids getting cut, like the money, there's no money. You've got,
roster limits.
It's just so cutthroat. Like
NIL.
It's such a business at that level more than, and part of me does feel for the coaches because if they're not playing the game and they're not running the rat race, they're going to find somebody who will in a lot of ways. So I feel like a lot of these coaches, unless you already had that stature to kind of push back against your school and do your own plan, if you're not going to go and recruit internationally, if you're not going to get these NIL guys and girls and you're not going to do it, we're going to go find someone who will. And it's everyone is put in a real, I think, crap position too, because to recruit a freshman is so much harder when you can just go get a few transfers that have run fast. And
look at cross country this year. It was crazy.
It's such a different world. So I have a question for you.
25 of the top 30, right? And men's Division I were international students.
And they were like 25 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So Dave, you being an accomplished runner, an accomplished athlete, obviously traveling the world, wearing the USA, and having two kids who are also really, really good in the sport, you being a coach as well. What has it been the balance between knowing when to kind of push and when to kind of pull, knowing when to push them because there's more, but also back off because I still need to be dad? Like, what is that? Because that has to be tough being the competitor, knowing what they can do, but also I got to also be dad at the same time. What has that been like?
That, it's actually because of, guys like, Kyle Roos at Point Borough and Billy Costanko. They've made it really easy. So I just supplement, right? They're the coaches. I'm not Ivy's coach. I'm not Blake's coach. Like, Coach K and I will work a little together, and I'll give Ivy a bike workout to supplement a run workout, because I know the way it works. Like, you can do a hard bike workout today and still run hard tomorrow. You can't do the opposite. You can't run, a blast in, zone 4 today and then try to, jump on the bike tomorrow. You have no legs. So he's been wonderful with that, but I don't interfere. What he says goes, right? Like, so that part has been pretty easy. She'll come to me and ask me other stuff, like, what should I lift today? Like, or Coach K has this, should I do it? Like, yeah, do that. Yes. And Coach Roos was the same with Blake, so it was pretty simple, because I don't have to, be the hammer.
That helps when there's coaches you trust. That's always helpful.
Huge.
Yeah. Huge. And, we've all seen it too much as coaches. Like, you don't want to be that parent that undermines the coach, because you get that all the time,
Oh yeah.
So was there ever a thought before both of them, like, going into their freshman year, they're good. Was there ever a thought of thinking private potentially, or was it always public all the way?
No, it was going to be public all the way. We've got a nice little tradition here in Point Pleasant. We had good coaches.
Yes.
So yeah, like, I just wanted them to, to enjoy what they had. And, because I have a friend, who I sail with and against, and, his son went to, one of the big time programs and, high school programs. We know who we're talking about. And after, like, his sophomore year, he's like, are you having fun? Like, he's asking him, like, do you really like this? Because I see you, like, grinding it out all the time. It doesn't look fun. And now he's having huge success. But, you also have to have that balance. Like, that's not for everybody to just grind for, 2 years and not be anything or anyone, or, think that you're going to be something, so.
Well, I mean,
there is
also have to, like,
yeah, go ahead, Dave.
You also have to, like, find out who you are as an athlete, because if I recall, Blake started off more like longer distance cross country, 3,200, and then he developed into 400, 800 guy. So, like, so early on your high school career, you're still finding who you are.
Yeah, he was trying to be what, I thought he should be.
Kevin Hart, right?
So I'm standing there at the fence at the Ocean County Championships, and I think it was his sophomore year, and he wanted to run the 400. So it went 1,600, then the next event is the 400, and then you had, like, a day off, and then you come back with the 800. So he goes out and he runs the 400 after, he runs a pretty good mile. I'm standing with Ryan Oliver, Lily Oliver's father.
Yeah.
And he's like, because he had gone to Point Beach, and, everybody mistook us because we both had the long, crazy hair. Like, I'd be running at the beach, and they'd be like, Ryan. And, like, I'm like, no, Dave. And
you probably got so used to it at that point. You're both just kind of saying, hi, guys. Yeah, sure. Hi.
But Ryan was the one, like, the way he runs, he may actually be a 4.8 guy. I'm like, I want to be a miler, because I'm not a miler. I was a long distance guy. But, I said, if Ryan's seeing it too, and Blake wants it, maybe that's where we should go.
Yeah.
And that was his whole goal for high school, was to run fast enough that he would never have to run cross country again.
I'd say he accomplished that goal.
That's great. So I think we have a rare comment that I've never seen here, coming from Twitch, and thank you for watching from Twitch. As a barber, I love the show. It is every stage of beard growth.
Okay.
And we do have a little bit of everything going on here. I'm happy that you appreciate, maybe I'll try. I've been shaving it. Maybe I'll try to grow it out like ZZ Top for you, so you can just keep on coming back. Polar Night. Thanks for the comment. We appreciate that.
So, Dave, I have a question, because in since my whole life growing up as a runner, I've been the only runner in my house, right? So what is it like, knowing that, like, maybe if you're not motivated that day, that someone else there in the house can just say, hey, let's go out and run, like that has to be helpful.
Yeah, it's I was talking to the girl who a girl who Ivy grew up with, who I saw at PT today, Claire Paws, who is the goalkeeper for the Point Borough field hockey team. She's going to play at Cornell, and I'm like, Claire, you're one of the only people who know like what it's like to have a house full of athletes. Like her sister ran in college, her brother ended up throwing because he got hurt. But yeah, we've taken it to another level. Like Carrie ran at Mount St. Mary's, I ran. So it's like, yeah, everybody. It was always just this example that you set. When we first started with doing triathlon, we live 400 meters from the Point Borough track. So the kids would either ride their bikes over there and we would do a Wednesday night workout or Tuesday night workout. So now all of a sudden they're like, 5 years old. Hey, I want to run.
I want to run, right?
Yeah.
I want to run a lap around the track. Okay. Like you just kind of,
you be as careful as you can while fostering it at the same time, right? Like, don't want to hurt your girth plates, but if you want to run, go for it.
Really don't want to like Ivy. I watched her and she's like, I had no choice. I'm like, you sure did have a choice. She played every sport you could imagine. She finally,
Oh, and earlier you even said like you got her into swimming, like.
Yeah, she was literally like Coach Kostanko, myself, my wife, Grandpa. None of us could talk her out of swimming for high school. Like her freshman year, her sophomore year. It took Blake last year. He's like, well, what do you want to do in college? She's like, I'm going to run. He's like, then why the hell are you swimming?
Right.
She's like, okay, I'll listen to Blake. I'll
sometimes it is the sibling or a good friend. Then it's like you could talk to your blue in the face, but it's mom and dad. You don't know anything. You don't get it. You're not in the high school now. You don't know what you're talking about.
You ran years ago.
You're old, dad, and you're looking at her going, "Yeah, but I could still beat you in a mile." No, I'm kidding.
Well, that's my goal. Like that's the gauntlet I've laid down now. Like who can break 440 this year? Let's go.
I mean, that is a good. It's funny too because like there's not many dads that can sit there and say that to their one of the best in the state daughters that, is good. Let's go and you have a good chance of winning me the chance. So I'm going to beat you in a mile. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. Like, cause she needs that now. Cause she's turned into my surly little girl. So she used to be, the easy one.
I have two daughters too, man. I'm like, what happened? I mean,
it's funny too, because Dave, what you can do,
so fun and like give me a hug. Now it's like, Dad, like it's like
Dave, you can do the most epic thing of all time. Instead, all of us dads, our goal is to embarrass our daughters. I have two; they're 7 and 5, and I can't wait to embarrass them. You could do the most embarrassing thing ever. At one of her invites, don't tell her. And go and pace the girls' mile that she's in. That heat. Be the pacer. Talk to the meet officials and be like, listen, this is what I can run. I could definitely pace these girls. Let me pace. It's my daughter. I want to. And just watch her face.
The Homedale Twilight race.
Watch her face as you step in with the pacer bib. And you're just like, stick with me here. Like old days, like training. We just did this Saturday on repeats. Let's go.
Hi, girls. I'm Ivy's dad. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, then all the girls go, oh, we know, Mr. Slavinski. How are you doing? Girls, are we ready to run a 440? Yes, let's go. I mean, that would be the most, do that because then somebody needs to film it and it's going to be like the new way to embarrass your, state competitive champion daughter. Let's do it.
Yeah, the last time I did that was I've been able to do it once and it was, she dragged me through the dirt on this one because I wasn't prepared for it. I went to Monmouth and they had a 1500. Like nobody runs 1500 indoor except I saw like there's an Ocean Breeze meet that has a 1500. Like it makes no sense.
It's a weird meet. Yeah, it's a weird one. 1500.
Like I get the mile, so it gives you a little bit more like runway on the straight, right? But a 1500, you're just going to start on another turn. Like who cares?
It's just awkward.
Yeah. So I asked like Joe Compagni. I was like, hey Joe, could I jump? He's like, yeah, just don't finish the race. So like. I think I got through about 1,000 before I couldn't help her anymore. It was like
you're on your own, girl. You're on your own.
Tapping out. So
you're on your own.
I mean that definitely gives her some bragging rights though, because she was like, you couldn't even get me to like 1,300, Dad. Like couldn't even get one lap left. What are we doing here?
Yeah, this year the race is on. Right,
I love
Ive?
it.
Oh, she's over there. Don't tell her my idea. She'll listen back to the episode and be like, Dad, I swear to God, if you show up at home now,
Yeah.
like I will step off that line. I will be so mad.
So,
Oh my God.
but Dave, really quick, what do you think now of that there's so many more meets and that there's so many more places for people, of our age, if we wanted to go run, and how many more people of our age that are still so competitive? What do you think is the biggest contributor to the fact that there's so many of the older generation who are still running ridiculously fast times? Do you think it's shoes, training?
I think I'll give it a little bit of everything, but I'll think because I look back at people like Jay Griffith. I look at Diane D'Alvera. I look at Carrie. They all graduated the same year. They all ran on the same middle school teams together, right? So there was something that in the water that like those coaches developed back then that keep a lot of us still going. I think because it's kind of the fountain youth, right? Like they've done studies, and you read them all the time. Like the biggest predictor of longevity is VO2 max. Which is like, what?
Yeah. I think one thing I noticed though about your generation with Coach Griff, even with Diane and Carrie, it's like none of you guys were afraid to get on the bike. And I think that's big. And I think that's something that other generations haven't done, including mine, where it's like, I think for some reason in our brains, we became convinced that if we get on the bike, we're going to lose it for our legs. We're not going to be able to run as fast. Like, I think it's just something there because I was so resistant to ever get on a bike where you guys quickly, okay, I can't run. I might be a little nicked up. I'm going to go bike. And it's like that your generation 100% embraced. I'm just getting some more endurance again. It might not be exactly what I need, but I'm keeping my heart rate up. I'm keeping that same level.
And then they find out that, wow, this really helps me feel better.
And I think that's something your generation did more than most. And we're seeing that because you guys are all still monsters.
And that was the thing we were told, and I know specifically I was told, like, well, jump on the bike, you're not gonna run as fast.
Exactly.
And then to counter it, you're like, if I do my quality runs as runs and my junk mileage on the bike, you have to go longer on the bike. Like if I'm going to do a 40-minute easy run, I'm going to sit on the bike for an hour or so, try to get my heart rate into that, not quite the same zone, but like pretty close
enough. Yeah.
But it's less pounding too. So you're kind of getting a little bit more real estate out of your legs. Cause now I'm not pounding on those knee joints. I'm not doing all those things, and I'm avoiding possibly like an IT strain. I'm avoiding some of these other common injuries that happen when you're just going, and especially the lower back. If you want to crank mileage and you're not used to it, the first thing you feel it in is your lower back. Like that is, a key indicator you're doing a little too much. But, there is something smart. And I think we're seeing that comeback, right? Because a lot more kids are cross training, are embracing that side, or getting into the pool. And it's like, okay, I'm supposed to do it.
Taking easy days too,
like, well, that's usually a lot of these kids that like don't like taking an easy day will instead go do a pool. They'll put the swimming on and they'll go in a pool and do a hard pool run for an hour, because you do a pool run for an hour, you get great fitness, you walk right out of it, you can go train the next day hard. Like it's and so I think this generation is going, like, there was a little bit of a dip in the, okay, we're not doing anything else but pounding ourselves into the ground and running forever. And I think we're kind of back to your generation's theory of mileage is mileage. Whether I'm getting it on the bike, I'm swimming, or I'm running, I'm going to do a little bit of everything. And I think we're seeing that now in this current group.
Yeah. And, I had, I think there was the innovators kind of came through in the 80s, 90s, 2000s in that sense, because Tom Fleming, I said he was a 160-mile-a-week guy. Right? He's like, we told everybody we were doing 130 to 140 because we didn't want them kind of doing what we were doing. And he was mileage, that's it, right? I got a phone call one day when I was working for him, just a funny aside, and I pick it up, and the guy's like, I was always kind of screening Tom's calls. Like, where was Tom going? He lived in a running store, basically. And, is Tom there? Yeah. Who? Let me see. Who's calling? Is it Billy Rodriguez? I'm like, okay. So Tom picks up the phone. Bill. It's Bill Rogers, right? That was his nickname, Billy Rodriguez. It was his Kenyan name. So I said, Tom, what was the biggest mileage week you guys ever did? He's like, it was insane. He's like, we did 218 miles.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He's like, me and Bill, he's like, the biggest problem was like, there was not enough time to eat and digest and to run again. He's like, we were running 3 days, 10 miles each time. He's like,
they say junkie. That is a running junkie, man.
Yeah. like these guys were wearing extra smalls, and it was like hanging off them because they were just rib cages with appendages, right? I think I'm skinny. Those pictures of Tom at like 6'2", he was really skinny.
We met Bill. He was on our show. I mean, what a legend! What an awesome guy! Just to hear his stories and like how much he used, and that he's still running. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and like I said, what did you guys back it down to? Did you take the next week off? He's like, no, we ran 160 the next week. And I'm like, oh, okay, But like I didn't want to be Tom, because then Tom, like in a sense, like hated running by the end of his life. Sure. And he loved track and coaching it, but he didn't want to keep doing it because he kind of almost like say overdid it. And then when I was in college, up at in grad school, actually, I met the guy Britt Brewer, who was the coach. He was running with an aqua jogger. I'm like, what the hell is this?
I used a ton of that for my rehab stuff because I was hurt a lot.
Yeah, he ran 2 days a week outside, and he ran every other day in the pool, and came out and ran like a 2:33 marathon. Like, what? So we saw that, right?
That and then stupid blue thing. God, it looks so dumb, but man, it works so well. Well, the thing is, the aqua jogger is genius because you have it strapped. It keeps your posture perfect. Like whoever designed it is amazing because you have perfect posture and you would just go. And you're
moving those feet things too for like
you're moving a million miles an hour and you like go like 2 feet, but it works. Like it's awesome. Like you can.
It is the most frustrating thing to do.
I'm like, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm exhausted.
It's quite literally if you go to like first gear on one of those mountain bikes and you're just going really fast and going nowhere. That's the aqua jogger. Doing intervals was the most frustrating thing because you'd be like, all right, hard minute. And you go from like one part of the wall, the short part of the wall, to the other short part, and you feel like you could have gone around the pool 9 times. Like, but it was good because no pounding on your legs at all, and you're not working full body because your whole entire arms are working through. There was so much value to aqua jogging. I can't recommend it more to people.
So that was the first time I'd ever seen it, and then at the same time, I was dating a girl who, she qualified for like 2 Olympic trials in the 10K. And she was getting coached by a guy, and he was like, let's try this new thing. It's called a heart rate monitor. I'm like, that's stupid. Like, so, right? Like for doing hard intervals, but for doing your easy days and to measure, like we all got them on now. Like I measure my sleep, my resting heart rate. Like it's, we were at kind of that early stages of all of this cutting edge technology. So we're not afraid to say use it. Like, okay, I can quantify what I'm doing on the bike between heart rate and power. Why am I not going to use this, right? I'm not just kind of pissing in the wind, and be like, okay, I can just downstairs and, spin my legs a little bit. No, know exactly what you've done.
That kind of proved the theory of like fitness is fitness, right? Because if you can get that heart rate to that same level on the bike or right near, right? Because like you said, if you're doing the hard intervals, it's hard because the pounding on your legs the blood pumps differently when you're going and pounding. But if you can get that heart rate near it on a bike, you can just extend it out, do 20, 30 extra minutes, right? So when you're adding that endurance, you're getting a similar style workout. Absolutely. So there's so much value to it. And this technology does help to sit there and I don't blame the old coaches, that were just like, just do miles. Because it gave great results. It destroyed legs, but it gave great results. Like, so now with
they couldn't quantify it with with blood lactate, and they couldn't, like, now you've got wearable devices that can do blood lactate. Like that's gonna be another game changer, right?
So what is your opinion on all this new tech and with the Strava, with everything we have, with the new super shoes? Because obviously you have been a high level athlete, whether it's just on the track, the roads, because you're also a 2:29 marathoner, which is insane. Everything that you've accomplished, your range is ridiculous, especially with everything. How have you embraced the technology? Like what has been, and you have like a limit to how much you use it? What is your opinion and theory on it?
And do you feel that it's helped to keep your career going longer?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Now, like, again, you're not just taking guesses, like on easy days, I know exactly what I can do, on interval days. Like we always knew you had a stopwatch, but you add the bike and you add all these other things, which again, I fully embrace the technology. Blake was talking about literally a wearable technology for blood lactate, and you won't take any blood from you. It'll be something that like there's a protein you put underneath and it can measure where you're at. Like, I'm ready. Like, let's
craziness.
dial it up,
It's
right?
so nuts. It's awesome.
I still think, in some ways we're guessing at a lot of this stuff, what paces we should be running and, running too fast or too slow. And that would really make it simple when you don't have to literally stick something in somebody and get blood to be like, okay, now you're good. Right?
So what we're saying is runners are going to be the first ones to truly get the neurochip when it comes out, because we're going to be like, we get all of our data in our neck. We're in.
We're eons behind what cycling does. Like, you want to see the most ridiculous people in the world follow a cycling team. They're a decade ahead of what runners do. We kind of, because all the money's there, right? So we kind of get the trickle down from them. They've been doing all this stuff for forever. And also they can sit on a trainer and literally stick themselves and get blood lactate, where it's a little hard when you're trying to do 400s, right? and not bleed out on the track.
I mean, that'll be the next thing. Like, the U.S., the Air Force, they do like the in-flight tank refills of gas. We're gonna do that. We're gonna have like someone sprinting next to someone. Arm. Okay, let's go. Go ahead, finish your run.
Yeah. So the technology has really helped, and it's almost embarrassing, as you get older, to tell kids, what you ran, because between the tracks and the shoes and their training, like, there's so much faster.
Coach wasn't that good. Well, no, I was good in my time. It's like you got to specify. Well, back in my day, here's how it was. When we had little tiny tracks, there was no banks, and we couldn't wear spikes at our state meets.
Well, no, what you have to say is, Dave, what you need to say to them is, okay, you know what? Actually, step off that track where you're in the grass. Okay, rip that grass up. Take your hand and really try to pat down the dirt. Now you were on my track. That's essentially what it was. Like, really hard patted down dirt was the cinder. Like, go and now try to race in that for a full lap, and as the dust is killing you, as
you're chewing it.
As you're chewing it. So that's what, honestly, anyone that says anything, just be like, go do that. Like, you should have a patch of dirt as your cinder and be like, you know what? Go feel that. That's what I trained on back in my day.
back in my day.
Go run at Princeton without spikes, where they just make you stand there for 45 minutes without any sweats on.
I still
that was the creepiest. That was the weirdest place to run, Jadwin Gym, right?
You're up, and the fans are like on top looking over. It was
and
the basketball court was there. Yeah, the basketball court was there, so it was like you couldn't hear anyone.
This place, like where you go to the bubble and everybody's on top of you, right?
Yeah.
And Jadwin Gym, they're like, you're waving.
You just couldn't wear spikes. It was crazy. Like, you had to wear your waffle racers.
Also at Jadwin, you were up in these stands.
Oh yeah.
But if you in a coaches would be wandering around, and I just remember at times, especially if the meet is running fast, they would be like, "Hey,
or listen,
the meet's fast," and it's like, "What? The meet's fast. Start warming up." What? Calm down.
Or listen, everyone bitches that you have to throw shot put in the middle school. I'm like, you can go down to the freaking dungeon in Princeton to watch shot put. And it was through the steps. You had to go outside, walk down.
I still have no idea where they threw it. I never made it down there. There's never anybody I wanted to watch to throw it.
I had a few kids on my team who were good, so we were down there. But it was I'm like, where are we going?
You experience those things.
It's a campus.
And it's why, we were a kid in a candy store back then when it was oh, we get to go to the New York City Armory. That place is so cool. There's a little bit of track underneath, but we didn't care.
It was flat.
You could go under the armory, and there was a little track to really run on. You felt like you were doing royalty down there. And it's we
like Seton Hall's track for us. So we would always go to Seton Hall and run this one meet.
Such a travesty. Seton Hall ended their friggin' program. What? That was. I remember when that happened.
I ran one indoor meet there, and their indoor track was woven rope of some sort. I'm I still couldn't get my head around it, and we were never allowed in again. Right? I grew up in Essex County. We would go down to Petty for our Essex County championships.
Okay.
Out to East Stroudsburg,
Petty Academy.
Petty was well, I was actually at ESU, and that was just a concrete indoor track, and you had to go behind the bleachers.
Mm-hmm. That's the way Slippery Rock was. And that was a funny story, because my mom had gone to East Stroudsburg, and the East Stroudsburg coach, I went up to him. It must have been, he was an older guy at that point. And
when I was there, it was Joe Koch, great guy. When I was
there. Yeah. And I went up to him, at the end of my high school career, and I said, "Hey, I'll be going to Slippery Rock. I'll be seeing you around." He's like, "What?" He's like, "I figured you were going somewhere big, so I didn't even bother recruiting you." I'm like, "Well, my mom went here. I might have talked to you if you had said something." He was like, "Ah!"
Do some
I just
research.
went at the other side.
It's so funny though too, because I look at it and like so many people like there's people that complain about not having like obviously Dave, you have the J and like the J sucks. I'd rather have nothing than have a freaking half a track,
Yeah.
but it's better than nothing. But like for me, I remember just in high school in indoor, we ran in the freaking hallways. Like that was part of like, we would run and do hard workouts in the hallways. Our distance runs were distance runs, but we do hard workouts in the hallways. Over like when I was up here at Marist, there were times we didn't have a track and none of the high school tracks want to go, okay, we're going to go do intervals in a parking lot. Like you figured things out. You figured it out where nowadays it's like people get up in arms if they don't have something. It's like, what do you mean? Just go. Running's running, man. Like go do like I remember shout out to Terry Horton, who was the sprint coach over at Marist. He would go down at the North Field, which was a field of ours, which is where the track is now. But he would go and he would take the line and he would walk 200 meters, make an oval, and then take cones and cone out 4 lanes.
Yeah.
And we'd have 4 lanes and he would measure the whole thing out. And that was our track. And it was on shittily cut grass. It wasn't like a green. It wasn't great cut, but you figured it out. And
when I was at Manchester coaching with the Griff, like everything was hallways. Like he had markers out for all the hurdles. And we had like a 250-meter loop like around the whole. But I mean, it's so bad for your legs. It's horrible.
Oh my God, so
I don't know, but obviously Hyatt, you'll remember this, but because when you were coaching there, we still had that giant patch in lane 1 that was destroyed at Manchester.
No, they had a new track when I was there.
No, they did not. We didn't get that new track until my senior year, and you were there for my junior year.
No, I'm talking about after you left.
Oh, after. Okay, yeah, they got that because I remember we got threatened. They're like, you can't host any meets. That is terrible because they had the patch and it was concrete. And then even in the pole vault runway, remember that pole vault runway had like half of it missing. Yeah. Like this became such like but that's the thing though. We didn't care. I didn't care that lane 1 sucked. It was 2 steps. I'm going like,
yeah.
It's such, and it's a different environment, right? Because we understand so much more. We understand the danger of running a 2 mile on that. And even those 2 steps pounding on it could be terrible. Like it could hurt you terribly. You're wearing spikes. So it has come such a long way. So before we let you off, what would you say to a young athlete that looks at your career, especially like jumping into multis after being successful on the track? If I want to start getting into the multis and I was a decent runner, how would you say to start getting into it? What's a smart way to get into doing that if I want to eventually try to wear the red, white, and blue as a multi athlete and stuff like that?
That's a really good question. Because there was a while that we were like kind of the mecca here in New Jersey. Like there were 4 or 5 different race companies putting on races, and you could find one every weekend. And that was where you start, because you go and you start meeting people and you just see how it's done, right? And
having an ocean helps. That ocean definitely helps those types of things.
Actually, you're putting on some races. People are scared out of their minds of the ocean. Having a bay helps.
Yes.
A lake and a bay.
Yes.
Yeah, like we put on some races and it was like people would literally wait till the last minute to register for a race that was in the ocean.
Currents
they were checking
the waves.
They were checking whether there was going to be waves. And it was the scariest thing putting on the race because, we're in Asbury Park and we're going up into deals. So you're paying all sorts of money. So we're paying out $25,000, and 10 days before the race goes off, we've got $10,000 worth of registrants. So you're like, I'm a teacher, bro. Like, I don't know where we're getting 15 grand for this.
Please
right?
come help.
And then the forecast is like sunny and beautiful, and now you make enough to pay the bill. But no,
now you're in the green.
Some of these races, and looking for a triathlon club, because that's going to kind of be your team, your community that you're going to learn from. Because there's just,
I'm sure it helps there. I'm sure you need a bunch of people in that environment to just get you through what you have to get through.
Yeah, I mean, because we're runners, right? Like, there's a lot to know with running, and then you add cycling and you add swimming in, and yeah, you can buy a little bit of speed in running, but you can buy a lot of speed on a bike,
Yep.
between the right bike, the fit on the bike, the race wheels,
The right
like
seat.
aerodynamic helmets. Yeah, like everything is money. Where, but when it comes down to it in triathlon, it's like you bike for show, you run for dough, right? Like you can't lose in the swim, but you're definitely not going to win it in the swim. I've seen plenty of guys just like, I killed you on the bike today. I'm like, yeah, but I beat you by 10 minutes on the run. Like, so congratulations.
I know
right?
where my
Like,
bread and butter is. I know where I just got
I
to be
did finish.
consistent.
It's like, yeah, but you finished behind me. So
As long as
Right.
I'm consistent in 2, I know where I'm going to shine. Like,
right. And it was a very formulaic way of competing there too. Like in a half iron distance, 56 miles, I would go down to Island Beach State Park. I would blast from one end to the other.
yep.
Look at my power meter. All right. If I run it at 300 watts for that, that 20 minutes in the race, I'm going to go at 80% or 85% of that, 80% of that, 240 watts. I don't have to be an athlete. I just have to be an accountant on the bike. Just stare at that power meter. Average 240 watts, get off, boom, run what you're supposed to run. That the first
that
time I
has
ever
to
used
help
it, I got off the
mentally.
bike and ran 114, like for a half marathon after a 56-mile bike, right?
So does that help
So
you
it
mentally
works.
though, knowing that, and just like, I'm not worried about pain, I'm just staring down. Like, I obviously want to look where I'm going, but I'm not thinking about anything else besides keeping that dial in a certain spot. Like, does that help kind of take your brain
I
off
feel
of
like
the
it
fact
takes
that you're
guessing
where
out
you're
of it.
going?
Like you don't have to
Yeah.
guess or mentally think. You just focus.
And you're not
you almost
worried
become
about
like robotic in a sense.
you're not
You
worried
just
about the
focus.
competitors either, because you're doing
No.
your plan.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not racing them at that point. If someone
Yeah.
goes past you, like, yeah, good luck, right?
Fun.
But
I'll see you on the run.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and what you do is, like on the bike, you had all your nutrition. So I would look at my watch. I got my head unit. I'm rolling at the watts I want to roll at. All right, it's time to take another salt tablet. Time to take another drink, right? So you're setting yourself up to have a good run.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you know that, yeah, if I kill you on the bike and I put 5 minutes on you, right, you could put 20 minutes on me on the run if the wheels fall off, right?
So how much of that was learned discipline, right? Because obviously sometimes you get done with the swim and you're feeling great. I can get on this
Yeah.
bike. I know my plan was 240. I can power 275. I'm fine, And then you do it and you're just like, I'm dead with my legs now. Like, even though you're probably still running well, like, I know I could have ran better. I'm an idiot type of thing. Like, was that a learned discipline of how you have to go about these types of things?
Yes. And, like there's times when you look back and you go, well, I probably needed a little bit more swim fitness to be able to run where I needed to, because I rode where I wanted to, but the swim might have taken a little bit out of me. So
Yeah.
you're always kind of like playing with the formula. My last, Ironman 70.3 championship, there was a guy who this guy, Chris, he was from Connecticut, and he was kind of the perennial champ, and I wanted to knock him off. It was up in Mont Tremblant in Canada. And I said, I got to swim fast. I got to get on him in the swim. And we get out of the swim and I hear them announce him running up the mat. And like 5 seconds later, I'm running up the mat. I'm like, okay, I just got to sit on Chris Thomas on this whole bike ride. So at that point, I didn't care what my wattage was. I just wanted to sit on him. And
You were competing. You weren't doing your plan.
Yeah. And I blew myself up a little bit on the bike. He got away from me in the last 10 miles. But then I passed him within 2 or 3 miles of the run. I'm like, I got this. I'm in first now. And somebody else caught me on the run, which was like the first time ever. But, I kind of put too much in that head-to-head battle.
Right.
But,
you were worrying too much about someone else. Right.
Yeah.
Someone else that followed their plan.
Yeah. Because this guy was literally the guy. He had won like 8 of the last 10, Ironman, 70.3 championships. The only one he lost, like he didn't compete. I won it, and so I was like, I'm going to beat him head to head finally. And I beat him head to head, but I ended up second, But
And I'd imagine
plan on those things, right?
As the further you go up, it's all discipline, right? I'd imagine the longer it gets, the more it goes, it's training your ass off. But I forget, Dave, who did we talk to? It might have been Jennifer Comfort, where it was like, you can train, you can get to a certain level, but your body can do so much at that time. And then you just have to trust your plan and go compete, especially like she was training ultra people doing 100-milers and things like that. And it's like, you're going to get fit. You're going to get to that point of your body where your body's max is for that moment. And then you just have to trust the plan and go compete and make adjustments, right? You're going to feel some things and you got to figure that out on the fly. And I feel like that's the type of thing, especially when you're getting into those Ironman events, right? It's trying to figure out discipline and trying not to get caught up in that competitive moment. Maybe in the last 10K, 20K, okay, let's roll, right? If we're right here, let's go compete. But before that, it's like there's so many miles in between between the bike
everyone
and
has
the run.
different
That's
strengths
hard, man.
too. You know, like everyone has their own strengths.
Yeah, in a 4-hour race, you're not going to win it in the first 10 minutes, right?
No.
But you can definitely lose it. You know,
Oh, yeah.
you put yourself in too much of a deficit and you're done.
So if you're a young athlete looking to get into triathlon, listen to Dave over there. Go and try and find a good group and get your running up. Your running up.
Yeah. It all comes down to your running. Stay in the track. Stay on the track as long as you can, and work your speed, because it's never going to hurt you.
So have we tried to target a race yet for 2027 that you're thinking of entering to go and try and get this mile record?
So, I would love to do it, someplace locally. The Armory is my favorite track. Yeah. Like the Monmouth indoor, it's always a little bit of a tougher sleigh, like
you're looking to do it
because it's flat.
You want to do it indoor, not outdoor?
The indoor for next year is the one that I'm really targeting. This year, I'm gonna see how close I can get to the outdoor, because with USA Triathlon, as of January 1st, you're the new age. With the USA Track and Field, it's your birthday. So I'm thinking that Monmouth Mile for outdoor this year.
It's a fun meet too. Fun meet.
Yeah, it might be one where I take a pop at the outdoor record, because I'll be just literally at the very bottom end of the bracket. I'll have turned 55 like 2 or 3 weeks before that race.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I would really like to pop the indoor one at like the Armory next year.
What's the outdoor record?
446.4. That's what it was for outdoor. 446.4. I don't know what the indoor one was.
Yeah, 443.60. I want to say
it's faster indoor. Okay,
isn't it crazy now? But we are seeing it now with these tracks being so fast. Like we're seeing like people almost rather race indoors at times than outdoors.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you realize as a Masters runner. The indoor season is highly competitive compared to the outdoor season.
It's a controlled climate indoor. That's so much. You're not dealing with weather,
and it's fast now. I mean, these
with the banks
tracks, and there's no wind. It's like everything's perfect.
But and then I also think, like, listen, it's time of life too, right? Like, who's going in the middle of the summer when you got a family saying, like, we're not going to, like, wherever the hell you're having
on vacation.
Nationals.
I got the Monmouth Mile.
Yeah. But like Albuquerque in January, or in February, people are like, yeah, go ahead, see ya. Have a nice long weekend out of it. Let me know how you did.
So, Dave, what I'm hearing is, Hyatt, we actually may have to try and make a pilgrimage down to the Monmouth Mile, so we can be there when Dave Slavinski sets the record. And no, we should go and get some True Media stuff there set up. And once that record is set, we throw the live stream on, and we're the first interview for the new men's age group national mile record holder.
It would be nice. It would be nice. And it's, you have to say these things out loud to
100%.
kind of make them come to fruition, because then it gives you the reason to train. So I'm going to open up I did a time trial at the Bubble the other day. I ran 2:17 all by myself, went out like an idiot, ran like 31 in my opening 200 for no good reason. But I'm like, okay, it's still there, right? And I just kind of
sometimes you got to open up a little bit. You got to feel that, and it's like, can I still go near 30? Yeah, that hurt, but I can do it.
Yeah. So then I registered for the first of the Miles Mania races at Ocean Breeze on Thursday. So
very cool.
We'll kind of get a better, yardstick as to where the training is and what needs to be done before I go out to. I'm going to run the Albuquerque. Literally is Masters Nationals February 20 or 21st. So that's going to be a tricky one because you're at altitude. So I'm thinking, like, if I can get a flight on Friday and race on Saturday, so I don't have too much of time out there to
because you won't have time to be for a week to
none of that lag or anything.
So you're right. Just get in, get out.
Yeah, get in, race, and then hang out, or something.
Yeah, after that you
don't care. But attitude after you race, you don't care then.
Have you been to Albuquerque? Have you raced over there?
I have never. That's one of the places I've never raced.
Because I'm curious, what the hell is there to do in Albuquerque after that?
All they have there is I'm just convinced that Albuquerque only has the indoor track. Like, that's what I'm convinced about.
Well, you do the Breaking Bad tour.
Breaking
right?
Bad's cool. Yes. Yeah, man. Yeah.
The only thing I knew about Albuquerque growing
You're
up
gonna
is
see
Bugs
Saul
Bunny
Goodman out
said it
there.
a lot. That's all I knew about. And then I started finding out that like Albuquerque and New Mexico is actually a big spot for indoor. I'm like, I thought Northeast only cared about indoor. What's going on here? Like, but no, that's pretty cool. So for me, I think about it.
Altitude, it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah,
absolutely. So that's cool
but
stuff.
I don't have my goals set, like my sights set on setting an age group record, there, because I'm in the younger age group and I'm at the top end of it. So that's always
what age group would you, what are the breakups here? Like, what is this? Like, is it 50 to 54, like 49? Like,
yeah. So I'm 50, 54 right now. And then, May I'll hit 55.
And that's when the fun starts, because then you're the young guy.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, how many 59-year-olds have records? Is it all 55-year-olds that have those age group records? Like, it's like, they should not even split it up. It should be every year, because that's so fair. Like, if I don't get it at 55, I'm absolutely screwed, because nobody gets it. Like, maybe 56. Yeah. Once you get the 57 to 59, it's just fun at that point. I'm waiting till the 60. Like,
yeah, exactly. You're just training, and that's I think one of my benefits is, like, I haven't been doing this year after year after year after year. So like I get to step away. I just go for my runs. I lifeguard. I swim. Then I've swam, bike, and ran, and done all that stuff. And now it's like, okay, I'm gonna get serious about this for a year or two, so you don't break your body down too much.
Is your goal to be one of those like 95-year-olds at Penn Relays that runs 100?
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing. Is like as I get older, I'm just gonna get shorter and right. Like I was a 10K guy, steeplechase.
Look,
now
I got more
speed
at 75. I got more speed at 75 than I did when I was 25.
No, absolutely not. I say the moment you hit 60, you become a pole vaulter. End it. Like, that's it. Just go start pole vaulting and just officially go. Just go start. No, just pole vault. Just do the most dangerous thing you can find at 60 years old, so that your wife is like, "Are you out of your mind?" And you're like, "Yes, I am." If I can get up on the pole, the height is 4 feet. I just have to get up there. I'm good. Like.
maybe I'll just turn to decathlon, like
there you go.
Retire and just train all day doing all sorts of different
retire and just go do the hardest thing possible outside of it. I don't want to do the Ironman anymore. Let me do a 2-day decathlon, and it's the same exact destruction of my body. Why not? Oh my God.
Jamming your leg into the track. Yeah.
That is the mental illness of the distance runner. It really is. We're just like, how else can we hurt ourselves? Like,
running distance doesn't hurt enough. And then my wife is no different. She's a kook like you guys and me. She's like, well, I think for my 55th birthday, I'm going to run 55 miles. Like,
yeah, we do these things. I don't understand.
Yeah.
You're doing that, but then you're like, yeah, you go that, but then you're like, I guess I'll go with you. Like that's it. Like you're looking at it like, I guess I'm coming.
It's like, no.
No, that's when you ask
for
like
vehicle.
It's like, honey, are you doing loops? Okay, when you come back, I'll meet you here and I'll run the 5 miles to the house. And then I'll run 5 miles and like I'll take breaks in between you getting there.
She's totally buying into, like, she did a 50K and she's like, I want to do a 50 miler and then I want to do a 100 miler. I'm like,
God bless her.
That's cool.
She's
going to do
an ultra.
No.
Yeah, I'm going down.
You're like, I'm going for the mile record. I'm going for the mile record. You can do all your 50Ks that you want. I'm going for the mile record.
Hey, listen,
that holds no interest.
Me neither.
As long as you're, keeping up with the fitness, I say you guys have to keep this up at least until like Ivy is like done with college. Because then during college, if you guys don't keep going, she's gonna rag on you and be like, "You did it throughout Blake's college career. What about mine?" Like,
yeah, I'll get back into cycling when she becomes a triathlete, so I can.
There you go.
Well, no, that's when you officially. That's when you sit there. So what you need to start doing is you need to start getting your more and more certifications with USATF. So then by the time she does get into it, all of a sudden now you're officially, okay, I'm a level 3 USATF coach. I'm your coach. Yeah. Like, I can get you everywhere. I know what I'm doing. I've made these connections. Like, let's go.
That world is different because it's not like USA track and field where you have to you just go when you hit a qualification standard. You have to race a circuit and be in the top 50 or 60 in points.
So it's a point system. Okay.
And then you have like, and I had a girl who I was coaching and she wanted to do this and I was like, you need another coach because it is way more involved because you have like American Cup races that earn you points, and you have like Continental Cup races, and then you have World Cup races.
Kind of like a track where you have all these different like gold, bronze, silver level races. Yeah.
And if you're not in the top, like, so say you go to the U.S. Olympic trials and you're like 100th in the points, but you win the U.S., you're not going because they won't take you. You know, like
Right.
the World, Athletic Federation.
So it's kind of like getting the qualifying standard in track. Like you can win but if you don't have that qualifying standard,
your federation, right,
you're not going. Right.
Hey, everyone has their qualifying, and we've seen, especially the past, I just say 5 years, we've just seen an elevation raise in so many different ways in all of athletics, whether it's the triathletes down to the sprinters so they're doing something right. There's something right there outside of our pros not being paid. That's basically it. Our pros suck at getting paid. We are the worst at getting paid. Everything else, we're doing well. So, Dave, appreciate you coming on, man. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I didn't know I'd have enough to fill up an hour and 50 minutes worth of a show, but
I certainly feel like we just scratched the surface. I really feel like we do, because I feel like if we delve into stories about the things that not necessarily your races and your accomplishments, but kind of the lead up, the training, like kind of like your ups and downs, because we've had some cool stories, and maybe we need to have Blake on solo, and then we need to have your wife on.
Not solo.
And then after that,
we'll have a Slavinski family.
Yeah, with wife solo, and then we'll bring all 4 of you on, and me and Dave will just sit back and we'll just start pitting you 4 against each other. That's all we'll do. We'll just make you guys argue.
Yeah. No, it'll be a good one, because Carrie can get everybody going. She's good.
That's what I like. So we'll just sit back.
Hey, go ahead, guys.
We'll just sit back and listen. If you and Carrie start arguing, I'm certainly not getting involved. Okay, if I start going, like, you might. This is all you'll see from me. That's all that'll happen. You'll just see this. I'll be gone.
You'll just see. Yeah.
You'll do the same thing.
Those guys would be a lot of fun to all have on at once.
Once Blake
I'm just happy
settled, once Blake gets settled and he gets comfortable, I don't want to do anything, because obviously he needs to get into the training regimen and stuff. And
he's got a whole new school.
Once he gets a few, maybe we'll talk an outdoor season if it, where he's at. Like we want to give him some time to kind of get settled, and we'll talk to your wife. I'll talk to you and we'll set some stuff up, because we'll just have all the Slavinskis on here. Let's just do it. We'll have that fun.
Yeah, that was part of my, one last fun story to tell you. It all transpired with him talking to the rowing coach. So New Year's Eve, he's supposed to be working New Year's Day down in South Carolina. Right. So when he quit Clemson, he's like, I don't want to have to pay to go to Clemson. So I'm going to work at Walmart. They'll pay 100% of my college degree online through Southern New Hampshire.
Not bad.
So he's living down there, but he's like, I got to be to work tomorrow, but I got to pack all my stuff up, and I'll come home to coach you at your first meet, Dad. I'm like, well, I've got a van. I can help you. So on New Year's Eve, I sat on the bike in the basement, booked a flight from Greensville Spartanburg Airport to fly home at 9:30 in the morning on New Year's Day. I'm sitting in here at New Year's Eve. 9:40 at night, we start the drive. I drove until like 3:30 in the morning. I wake him up. He drives, drops me off at the airport. I fly home, right? And he has my van, so he can pack all this crap up. And he gets off of work about now, so he's now officially done with Walmart, and he's transitioning to being a student athlete again, back in New Jersey. So yeah, I did the 17-hour to South Carolina and back. And these are the things you do for your kid.
Sure, of course.
The hope for, this is their happiness, right? So they get that experience that we had.
So excited for Blake to be doing something that he loves at a place that it sounds like he's really comfortable being at. He's close to home for you guys too. I mean, it just sounds like it's a win-win, and I just chalk this up as another win for the smaller schools to get someone of his caliber, and just shows that you can go anywhere and you can compete and you can be great anywhere. As long as you want to be great and you have the desire to be great yourself, you can find coaching anywhere.
The only negative is all the Philly sports fans he's going to have to encounter down in South Jersey, because they all like Philly, and I get it. I get it. You have no reason to like the Jets or Giants because they're all the way up in North Jersey. But man, can you pick anyone else besides Philly sports? Like,
I know Ivy's already threatened that she's going to be an Eagle fan. You know, she's a huge
listen,
Mets fan with me, but I'm like, if I lose you to the Eagles, like I got no dog in the fight with the Jets or the Giants at this point. They're, yeah.
It's funny. I'm a Jets fan. My wife is a Cowboys fan, and my older daughter was like, "I think I like the Giants today." And we're like, "What?" Both of us are like, "How can you pick them out of all teams?" Like,
because
I get not the Jets. We
just want to
suck.
pick the team of. I feel like kids now more than ever are going against the teams that the parents like. Whereas when we were young, I was like, all right, I'm going to root for whoever my mom and dad like.
Not even that. She's watched me put the Jets on for the 7 years of her life, and in these past 7 years, I think
Why
she's
would she
won
want to
7
be
games.
involved with that
Like,
failure of a team, though? Like that's the thing you have to ask yourself. You know?
why do I want to be involved with the failure of a
know.
team? All of my teams suck. Okay, like all of them. Like, so it is. Listen, we can get into all those conversations another time. It's funny. We do these asides with Jim Lambert all the time.
Oh,
We
Jim's-
always like whenever Jim's on, we start off every show basically talking about his sports teams and how they're doing, which we do need to console him with Tua going out, and we'll see what Quinn Ewers actually can do. They passed up on my boy Zach Wilson because he's absolute hot garbage. But anyway, Dave, thank you so much for coming on, brother. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. It was wonderful.
So, anyone wants to follow Dave and all of his escapades, and I do recommend that because obviously you're going to want to follow him to see if he's going to get an age group record this year or next year. You can follow him on Instagram at DJS_Bones with the Z at the end. You can follow him on TikTok, Bones with the Z 529, or you follow him on Snapchat, DSlav52. So we appreciate everyone for watching wherever you watched from. X, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, not Rumble, TikTok, not TikTok. Where am I going? Kick and Twitch. We had a Twitch comment. I'm like losing it right now. All the social medias. I'm just throwing them all out there. But yeah, wherever you watch from, thanks. Make sure you like, share, follow, all that good stuff. Go search Talking in Ovals on all the socials. We are there. Go and follow us. We'll be back next week. Dave, I have no idea who we're talking to next week. We will talk to somebody.
We'll figure it out.
We will figure it out. We always do. And if you don't, you get our dopey faces hanging out in front of you. So,
Nobody wants that.
No, nobody wants that. So we will make sure that doesn't happen. But yeah, everyone, we appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much. So long, y'all.